Welcome back to another episode of Ishigo. In this episode we're actually going to continue the industrial area slash business type of thingy that we built in the last episode. Links will be in the description down below and it's gonna be an annotation on screen probably right now, or otherwise it's gonna be during this entire video, so you can go and click that if you want. So basically in the last episode we started building some sort of an industrial area, and we built like a distribution center, we built the intersection, and we also built a couple of offices. In this episode what I want to do is actually continue that, but on the other side of the intersection, or on the other side of the highway. And what's pretty special about this building, what we are building right now, it is elevated. It is actually elevated and it just looks so good. Right now I'm just setting up the stuff and making the outlines look really nice and stuff, but after a while, so probably like 10 minutes into the video, it already starts looking like an actual elevated building, and it's just freaking crazy to me that you can actually do that in City Skylines. I'm able to build this build because of all the mods and all the assets I've got installed in my City Skylines, but it is just freaking crazy that 2 years ago the game came out, and right now we are building all those strange different looking things from 2 years ago. If you said to me 2 years ago that we are building like elevated buildings with scaffolding in front of it, or we are building crazy intersections and stuff, I wouldn't believe you. How much assets and how much mods we actually got in this game, or we can actually download from the Steam Workshop and use it. I mean, in this particular build I used like the moving mod a lot of times, and I think it was a glitch that you can actually move stuff up and down, but it just opened up an entire world of creativity. So people gonna start elevating buildings, people gonna start having different layers in their buildings, and that is just freaking crazy to me. I saw a post on Twitter the other day and the guy showed us a couple of pictures, or two pictures. The one picture was from 2015 and the other one's from 2017, and I think it was about a mine, and you can actually see how much the entire game changed from asset support, mod support, even color correction, and like loot support, like how things look and stuff. So if you look at this screen right now, you can actually see I'm using a different type of color correction instead of the normal default one. And all those things, all those amounts of assets that we put into the game, it just makes this entire game look so much better instead of the plain vanilla game. Don't get me wrong, like the vanilla game is awesome, and in 2015 it was actually a pretty big step forward to actually build some sort of a city building game, but the entire community, and I said this in a couple of videos, I think I said this maybe even a year ago, I said the same thing, is what we've got in this community, it is actually awesome. We've got lots of asset support, we've got lots of mod supports, and I just feel like without those supports, without the mod supports, and also from Paradox itself, I couldn't build this. I could not build like an elevated building, and yeah, overall I think like the entire thing what I'm building right now, it just looks freaking awesome, and that's all thanks to the mod support and to the asset support we got in the Steam Workshop, and that's actually from you guys, from the community. So a big shout out to you guys. So basically what we are building right now on the other side of the intersection is we're gonna build up some sort of a business center with lots and lots of offices, one elevated office, and of course a couple of roads so people can actually go to their work every day. Building this elevated office was a lot harder than I first imagined, especially building this with like how high the props need to be and where I need to place the props and stuff. That was a lot harder. So this was actually my second attempt. My first attempt I totally failed on this, but my second attempt is actually what you're seeing right now. And on this attempt what I did, I actually lowered the entire props area and also the office, so everything is nice and smooth and it just looks a little bit better. One thing what I also encountered is that not all props you can actually elevate up or down, especially trees and like some newer props and even some older props. I had especially a hard time with a couple of curbs. So the new curbs I use a lot are the one that actually look like curbs and it actually looks like there's grass growing in it. And I've got like the older curbs with like, you can say it's like some sort of nice flat out grass area or a grass patch. And those curves you can actually elevate up, but the newer ones with like a little bit more detail in it, in the grass especially, you cannot elevate up. So that was actually a challenge for me to make sure that it just looks good. Therefore, I actually went with the older curbs, and I just placed a couple of curbs because otherwise it's just so plain looking. We got like the scaffolding, we got the office, so I just had to place a couple of curbs, so we got a little bit of grass growing over there, and it just looks a little bit better for everybody to look at. The second problem I encountered, like I said, is raising or lowering trees, and I know like raising trees and lowering trees, that isn't possible in real life, so it should be possible in City Skylines, but for this particular build, it was pretty awesome if we actually are managed to get that done. So I actually had to think outside of the box, and what I used are a couple of swamp trees. The swamp trees are really big and really tall, so I could actually use them and put them into the curb. And because we actually got scaffolding, you cannot see the bark of the tree where it actually goes into the ground, and it's all covered up, so nobody will actually know those trees are actually down there on the ground, but it just looks like they're actually placed on the curb itself. And that just make everything a lot easier for me, especially if you have like plain curbs. Nobody wants to look at plain curbs. But if you got like 3 trees inside of a curb, it just looks a lot better. And especially for this build, it just looks a lot better. We've got the curbs, we've got a couple of tall trees, we've even got a fountain, we've even got fences so nobody will fall off into their death. And basically it's just a preventative measure, so nobody will actually plummet into the death with like the fences and stuff. If you put all those things together, you can see that the balcony area of this office isn't plain anymore, and you could expect like people walking out of the office and starting to having lunch over there any minute. And that was the plan I've got all along for this entire balcony, so it looks like people will storm out of their offices and go into the yard of the office or the balcony of the office and having lunch. In the last episode, I asked you guys if you would be interested in a couple of night cinematics, for example at the end of the video or during the video or something like that. And you guys responded that you would be interested in that, so I will be doing a couple of night cinematics at the end of the video, and even during the video you can see me switch from daytime to nighttime. And the nighttime aspect of that is just because I just want to place a couple of lights so everything is lit up at night. Because of the end nighttime cinematics, I want stuff to be lit up as good as possible, so even during the nighttime you can actually see what's going on. And it's also pretty safe for the civilians who live in the city, because otherwise when it's nighttime you cannot see anything, and that's something I want to avoid. So basically that's why I'm trying to place a couple of lanterns and a couple of lights, so when people go up, for example the elevated office, they can actually see where they are going and they don't plummet into their death or fall on the highway or something like that, because that would be actually be terrible. So at the end of the video you will actually see a couple of nighttime cinematics, because I asked you guys in the last episode and you will be interested in seeing them. So at the end of the video you will actually see a couple of nighttime cinematics. In this business park you will find a couple of things. First of all, the elevated office with a parking lot in it. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to build some sort of a parking lot area underneath the elevated office. You will also find a couple offices, and of course you will find a fire department, a police department, and even a couple of parking lots. One thing what we also got in this business park is a park and a couple of relaxation areas, so when people get out of the office they can actually just walk around. And the last thing what we got going on inside the park is actually a metro station, so people can commute to work. But I'm not gonna be talking about everything, I'm gonna be building and explaining everything. I'm gonna be playing some music until the time lapse ends, and I'll see you guys at the end of the time lapse. the time lapse is coming to an end, and I just want to talk a little bit about the police station I'm building right now. So I could have just placed the police station down and I could just place a couple of parking lots and that's it. But I didn't do it. I actually placed a big parking lot at the back end of the police station. Also placed a couple of parking spots for normal people where they can park their car, or even employees like detectives and other people like that in the police force. But what I want to talk about is the police station itself. So this is gonna be one of the maybe 4 or 5 bigger police stations in the Ishigo area, and we're gonna have like one bigger police station in the city. We're gonna have a bigger police station in the industrial area I'm building right now. We're gonna have maybe a bigger police station on the other island of Ishigo, because we got 2 big islands on Ishigo and we've got a couple of smaller islands. And maybe we're gonna have like a bigger police station at the harbor area. So in total that comes around 4 police stations, or 4 bigger police stations. This is actually the central policing station area, and after that we're gonna have like a couple of smaller police stations across the entire city of Ishigo. Right now I'm finishing up the business area over here, and you can see I put in lots and lots of detail. For example, with the elevated office, I already talked about that. Lots and lots of detail over there. We've got like a small little office next to the elevated office. There's also plenty of detail there. We've got a small little park in between them. We've got a fire department, we've got a police department, we've got a couple more offices and a central park in the middle area of this business park. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm gonna play some cinematics, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care and goodbye.